Hello guys, I am here today with the same topic of the diabetes, in which we have discussed the type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes and pathogenesis involved in it. Today we are going to study the clinical approach to the patient of diabetes. So usually the diabetic patient comes to you with the following signs and symptoms. Number one is the acute presentation, which involves the polyuria, thirst, weight loss and weight gain in type 2 diabetes mellitus. In subacute presentation, there will be the typical feature of the polyuria, thirst, weight loss, but involving the lack of energy, blurring of vision and balanitis. Balanitis is a candidal infection, while this blurring of vision and lack of energy is due to the energy metabolism, which is disturbed due to hyperglycemic state. Asymptomatic diabetic patient usually present with no symptom of illness, but there will be the increased blood glucose level and glycosuria. We have discussed that the complications which are macrovascular, microvascular, immune complication, and there will be the metabolic complications. But some complications are presentable when a patient comes to you in a clinic. They will present you with a staph infections for a skin, polyneuropathy, which is tingling and numbness in the feet and hands, and peripheral gangrene, which is usually in the feet, and erectile dysfunction, myocardial infections. These are the complications which are typically seen in the clinics. So moving, in diabetic patients, the following signs and symptoms are due to the pathophysiology involved in it, which is the insulin deficiency. When there will be the insulin deficiency, it will lead to the hyperglycemia, which will lead to the fatigue in the body. This hyperglycemia will lead to the glycosuria and further increase catabolism and decrease anabolism. As we know, the catabolism is the process in which the large molecules are broken down into the smaller ones. So this increased catabolism in the body will lead to the hunger and polyphagia, which are the symptoms we see in the diabetic patient. So this increased catabolism is also leading to the weight loss of the patient. This increased catabolism is further leading the increased lipolysis, which is the breakdown of the lipids. So this increased lipolysis will result in the wasting of the body and increase free fatty acid in the plasma and oxidation in the liver. This increased free fatty acid in plasma and liver will lead to the ketoacidosis, which is the condition of emergency and which will lead to death of the patient when there will be the extreme hyperglycemia. So this is all about the catabolism involved. So when there will be the decreased anabolism, this will lead to the osmotic diuresis. Osmotic diuresis involves the polyuria and polydipsia, which are the presenting features of the diabetic patient. So this osmotic diuresis will lead to the dehydration and loss of electrolytes. This loss of electrolytes will result in the tachycardia, that is the increased heart rate, and dehydration will result in the hypotension, which is decreased BP. This dehydration and loss of electrolyte will result in the diabetic coma, which will further lead to the death. This is how the extreme hyperglycemia leads to death of the diabetic patient. So when the patient comes to you with the sign and symptoms of polydipsia, polyphagia, hunger and all the features which I have discussed earlier, you will go to the investigations to confirm the diagnosis that the patient is diabetic. So when the symptoms are clear, that is the polyphagia, polydipsia and all the other signs and symptoms, you will go for the random blood glucose level, which if greater than 11 millimole per liter, you will diagnose the patient as a diabetic. So in the absence of any clear symptoms, you will go for the three methods, that is number one is the OGTT, that is oral glucose tolerance test. Second one is the fasting blood glucose, and third one is HbA1c. So coming to the first one, which is oral glucose tolerance test. A patient will come to you, you will measure his fasting blood glucose level, which if greater than 7.0 millimole per liter, and the second condition is that after 2 hours you will measure again the blood glucose level. If greater than 11.1 millimole per liter, you will diagnose the patient as a diabetic. So moving to the next, that is fasting blood glucose level, which is without any eating. So fasting blood glucose level, if greater than 7 millimole per liter, you will diagnose it as a diabetic patient. So third one here is the HbA1c. If greater than 6.5 or 48 millimole per mole, you will diagnose it as a diabetic. If it ranges between the 39 to 46 millimole per mole, there will be the increased risk of diabetes. So the random blood glucose level is measured once when there are clear signs and symptoms. When there is the absence of clear signs and symptoms, you will measure the value twice. These are the normal values of the test. So if greater than that, you will diagnose the patient as a diabetic. And these are the international units. So some measure them in the milligram per deciliter. So I have written here that 1 millimole is equals to 18 milligram per deciliter. So you can convert these millimole into milligram per deciliters. So this is how you will investigate the diabetic patient.